Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Jimmy, and you are here because you want to find the best combination of powers in PvP in City of Heroes 2019 Homecoming. And, well, here we are. We're going to go over a few things today. We're going to go over the competitive power sets, at least one for each archetype. Now, keeping in mind that these are my personal opinion, and I feel like if anything, this is the type of video where people would say, but this one can do this, and I can do that, and these are the best. Well, this is just from what I've been reading and what I've seen people do in zones and my own experience. So I'm just kind of looking at the most popular and giving you a general idea, but most power sets can do anything in this game, and that's for PvE. But if you want to do PvP, you might want to specialize into something that we discuss here today. That might depend on different forms of PvP, if you're doing zones or arenas or 2v2s or 8v8s or what have you. And then we'll talk about where to find people to PvP with, because if you don't know already, you can go to the unofficial PvP server Indomitable, and they host an arena kickball event 2 times a week, every so often, and they post about that online. So go ahead and check out to see if you can get into that. And really, if you go to Recluse's Victory almost any time of day on Indomitable, there's people there. You get 5 free server transfers per week per character, so there's no reason not to take advantage of the amount of people that want to PvP with you. Before we get started, I want to announce that I'm hosting a live streamed costume contest, and if you could please send a picture of your entry to CostumeContestJimmy@gmail.com. I will post later on about the specific time and the prizes that we're going to have, both in-game and real-life prizes. So please submit 1 entry per email account and join the stream with us when it's there, and the image can be either from the login screen or from an in-game capture. Now we get into it. We're going to start down the line here. We'll hit each class as we go through. And starting off with Blaster, I might as well say this is probably the strongest class that you could pick if you wanted to PvP. It is the most popular, and it's kind of like the easy way out, in my opinion. I try to do classes and stuff that don't take advantage of what's the best here. So I'm not going to go over every ability. I have other videos for that, and please do check those out. But this is just the best ones for PvP. So I'll tell you this, it's not archery. Beam Rifle is a possibility. You get the Disintegrate effect from it, where you do more damage. They take the Charge Shot here, Aim Shot, Disintegrate, of course, Penetrating Ray, and then I don't even think you take Piercing Beam or Lancer Shot. I think you might even just take Overcharge, because you can only rotate through so many while your opponents are moving. Now, I'll get to the secondaries as well, but let's say, what is a secondary that you could pair with Beam Rifle? Well, we'll talk about all of them quickly, but the best one that you could do is Plant, and Plant is really the best secondary that you could do for any of the primaries that you'll be using as a blaster. It has the Wild Fortress effect, which is giving you healing, Toxins for extra damage, Strangler for another hold, and you don't take Ripper, of course. You might not even take Vines or Spore Cloud. Actually, do take Spore Cloud because it's a damage to a foe. Spores are very important. Sorry about that. But I've seen a lot of people going for that for Beam. Dark Blast with Plant as well is very powerful. Dark Blast is giving you that -2 hit ability, and on a blaster it's very good. This is also good on other archetypes, such as Defenders or Corruptors, who are doing something else with their secondaries, not just pure damage. So you might want to consider something else if you're going for just pure outright damage, but this does add survivability if you're in a 1v1 situation. So if you're in a 1v1 in arenas, go for Dark, because it's going to give you more resist. They're not going to hit you as much anyways. Dual pistols for PvP, I'm going to say probably not. It is really good in PvE, but only if you're hitting many targets at once. It's not as good in PvP, and even when we get to the Mastermind, we'll find, it kind of sucks because they don't get the swap ammo that we do here. The incendiary ammo doesn't add enough of a damage bonus to be worth it, in my opinion. Electrical Blast, not for a blaster. Energy Blast, not for a blaster. Fire Blast, yes, for a blaster if you want to do damage, a lot of damage all at once. This was popular back in live. They would do fire and then energy manipulation, but we don't do that anymore. Energy manipulation is not a very good secondary for blasters, so you could pair this with plant, or you could pair this with anything else that we'll talk about later. Ice Blast is very good for blasters. You don't always take Freeze Ray and Bitter Freeze Ray if you're doing PvP. You might, but you do get aim, and then you will get your second build up in the secondary power set, so you're going to be doing a lot of damage. This is a classic. It's kind of boring in my opinion, so I don't use it anymore. Psychic Blast for blasters, I don't recommend it. It's better for other archetypes, but if you're making a blaster, there's a better choice that you could have. Same for Radiation Blast, same for Sonic Blast, that's more for PvE. I guess you could take advantage of the minus res, but I wouldn't say you would do that as well in PvP. And then Water Blast I'm not sure about because it has the knock-up effect, and I heard good things about that, and I heard bad things about that, but I'm excited about Dehydrate if that is a usable single target. Sorry, reduces their heal over time effect by 50%. I'm not sure. It's a regen debuff in PvP, so maybe it is good. Hopefully they balance for it. So those are the ones that I would pick. Going down the secondaries, Atomic Manipulation, no. Devices, now this is interesting because they did have an update. In addition to all of the snipes of your primary power sets going off instantly if you're over 22%. Actually, no, they changed it even, I think, recently. It's like if you have been in combat for 8 seconds, it's instant no matter what, or something like that. Plus, you're probably over the 2-hit bonus anyway, so why not? But they changed devices as well. So Web Grenade is now Toxic Web Grenade. It deals more damage. They got rid of the interrupt time on Trip Mine or Time Bomb, I think, or Time Bomb acts differently now. It's a good time to try devices if you want to in PvP, but there's other stronger secondaries that you could pick instead. Darkness Manipulation will be interesting, but I don't think that it would be good for PvP. Energy Manipulation, no. Electric, no. Fire, no. Ice, no. Martial, no. Mental Manipulation, no. Ninja Training, no. Plant Manipulation is probably the best for PvP. Tactical Arrow is pretty good. It's better than Trick Arrow in a lot of situations. The Tactical Arrow is. It almost feels like it was made for PvP because like you even get Gymnastics here, which is giving you a bonus that the Trick Arrow wouldn't have. You get Upshot for your build up. You get Agility here. I would think that the Tactical Arrow is a very good choice if you didn't want to go for Plant, because the problem is I really like this costume here, right? This is like Nighthawk. I like this costume, but I don't like if I go to plants. Oh, I thought I did pick it. Let's do fire. But I don't like if I go to plant manipulation and it's gonna do this, right? And then I can't see everything. And the only other option is original. So it's really strong. It's probably the best blaster secondary, but it's not for me. All right. And then temporal manipulation is pretty good in PvP. I would imagine, or sorry, PvE. I would imagine that it works just fine in PvP. But really, that's probably your top 3 options are right there, and then also devices. Any combination of those would most likely work, and I'm sure that you could piece together a build for those. Going on to controllers. Darkness Control is Dark Grasp, I believe that it is. One of these, I think it's Dark Grasp. You're not allowed to use it in arena matches in structured kickballs, so keep that in mind if you did want to join the community. Now, rather, if you were to do zones or something where you weren't structured, you're getting Umbra Blast, you're getting Haunt, you're getting Dark Grasp, which is going to give you an extremely long duration hold. It's kind of broken. That would work well, right? What secondary would you do with that if we can go over briefly? I would say Poison. Do Poison if you're doing strictly PvP and you want to take advantage of that and you're going into zones, because you're going to get Envenom, Weaken, and that's it. You don't even need Paralytic Trap. You don't even need Poison Trap. That's just more and more abilities where you can slot like, you know, maneuvers, Tough and Weave if you need it, all your jump, super speed, all your good stuff you're going to be able to get. Going into no earth control, no electrical, no fire. Gravity, yes, you could do if you wanted to be a controller in PvP. Why not? You get Wormhole to bring people as a teleport to you, and you get Propel, and you get Lift, and you get to take advantage of Containment, and Singularity can be pretty powerful there as well. Good combinations, well, we'll talk about it. This could be paired with a lot of different things, but I would think it'd be really funny if you did Trick Arrow, because you're not healing at all, you're just messing with people, and you could teleport them back in, or do it with traps, because you could bring them into all the horrible traps that you put together. That would be hilarious. Ice control, no. Illusion, yes. Illusion rad is a good combination. Illusion cold is a little bit stronger, but illusion radiation is going to give you a self heal, so that's going to be good. You could also do illusion storm, would be interesting, and storm we're going to talk about is actually pretty good in PvP. If you have a team, if you have something, I think that might be another good example where you could use gravity and bring them closer to you. Gravity is phenomenal for that. Now, mind control is fun because we'll talk about dominators later, but this is, I would almost think, even maybe better on dominators. Like the rare instance that a dominator is better than a controller. Mind control you could use. Telekinesis is also banned in competitive PvP, so you wouldn't be able to use that there, but in zones nobody can stop you from using it. And you could pair it with, well, basically anything we talked about so far. Maybe not traps, trick arrow, things like that, but poison, why not? That would be kind of fun. Plant, no, not for PvP, but for PvE it is fine. You just need dead bodies to go, and it doesn't help you out in PvP at all. Looking at defender, there's only a few that work here. Cold domination you could do if you wanted to zone. I don't think it'd be very helpful. Dark miasma, no. Empathy is the best. If you want to be a defender and you want to go PvP, the first thing that the draft pickers are going to say is, oh, look at that defender. Is he empathy? And if you are empathy, you're the first pick, because they go, I want him on my team because I'm a blaster and I want to be able to steamroll. So go empathy, and then for a secondary, you should be going psychic, or ice, or dark would be just fine. Don't go beam, don't do anything weird. Go for something that's going to benefit that you're healing, right? You're not going for damage, you're going for mitigation. So get something that's going to slow them down or do -2 hit. And then, so we are on defenders right now. Force field, no. On other classes, maybe, but not for this one. Masterminds, we'll see. Kinetics, no. Nature affinity, it's a really good healer. If that's what you want to be doing and you don't want to be empathy, you could go nature, but I would say maybe not on a defender, so probably not for PvP. Pain, no. Now, poison is top tier defender next to empathy. They are both top tier. The difference being empathy supports your team if you want to do that. Poison makes you unkillable if you go poison dark. Poison dark, and because defenders are going to be getting a better change in the in Venom and Weaken and the debuffs that they do, a better multiplier than other classes because it's their primary, you're the best. And then Dark Blast, and you can do whatever you want. You steamroll. Continuing on, radiation emission, not for defender. Sonic, no. Storm, not for defender. Thermal, not for defender. Time, maybe, if you wanted to. You could do time. Dual pistols is really good. Time dark, time something like that. Status effects, but you're just going for Farsight and Chrono Shift to keep your team up, and that's just going to be really helpful because then everybody becomes unkillable. Traps, if you want to do something funny, not on a defender, it's not going to help you out, and Trick Arrow, not on a defender either. You don't need the extra status effect on them. Moving on to Scrapper, there's only a couple times where you would take Scrapper versus a tank, versus a brute, versus a Scrapper. The only time that you would want to go PvP on a Scrapper, and the reason you would want to go PvP on a Scrapper is because you're going to be able to do more sustained crits versus a Stalker who does consistent crits, if that makes sense. You're going a little bit longer and stronger, and you can keep it toe-to-toe, but they're able to control exactly when it is that they crit every time, and you might crit pretty high, but things like Broadsword aren't going to be as effective as they would on a Stalker. Battle Axe, no. But what you could do, and what would be really fun and what I want to see, is somebody go for, where is it? War Mace. Somebody needs to go for War Mace on a Scrapper because it has high sustain and it looks amazing. You can swap it around here. And I really like the baseball bat one that you can hit people with, and the War Mace is really strong. So, but Stalkers don't get to use it, and tanks do, and brutes do, but brutes probably don't get to use it as well as a Scrapper does in PvP, or as well as a tanker does. So this is one of the few instances where Scrapper can just knock the head off of somebody. Could you imagine? Yeah. And then, where did it go? Oh, I went down to the bottom. I think that's the only one I would recommend for Scrapper. Everything else would be better on another class. On a tanker, and I put a lot of thought into this one, I've looked a lot online. So first off, the secondary power has to be super strength. It has to be, because you get rage, and in a bubble, when it says 3, 2, 1, go, boom. Or, not that immediately, but when you see them, you pop it. And that's what's going to give you the damage on a tank. Now, why would you go tank? Because you want to get the most out of your armor and be as resilient as possible. Now, brutes and scrappers can also reach those resilience levels or close to it, but they will never be quite as tough as a tank. So what benefits the tank the most? First off is bio armor, because you're able to adjust your max hit points, which is going to work more on a tank. You get heals, you get AoE stuff, you're so strong. It's really good. Fiery Aura used to be good. I don't think it is very much anymore in PvP, but I remember a lot of fire and battle axe tanks. Invulnerability is good just about anywhere, but again, they're really hard to hit, and you're really hard. But that's good for a tank. You need a taunt, of course, to keep them on you. But you only really get one heal, and it's like, well, wouldn't you want two heals? Wouldn't you want something a little bit better? Radiation armor, I've heard good things about on a tank. I'm not sure. I wouldn't go as far to recommend it. And shield defense also gives you a max health boost, which is key in PvP. So I would say definitely True Grit is going to help you out there a lot. The secondary power sets. Yeah, no, just super strength. If you want a PvP, that's about it. Going down to Peacebringer and Warshade. Now, I have played a lot of Peacebringer and Warshade, and I hope to make a video soon where I show off all my macros, and they all have 1 through 9 numpads, all customized. Really fun. PvP, I'm not so sure, because I found some really good builds for them, and I want to go into Peacebringers and Warshades more in another video. But the thing is, they have Peacebringer has a maxed cap endurance, or sorry, resistance at any time when they click this power, which could last them through a fight, which also persists through any form that they use. White Dwarf, through Squid form, Bright Nova, they're always going to be maxed. Even at Bright Nova with the 100, 20-30% damage bonus, it's so strong in Inner Light. But nobody, I haven't seen anybody really try that out yet. Now, going through, and I've talked about this in other videos too, in Hammy raids and stuff, I see a lot more Peacebringers than I used to. I've posted a few binds online and on the Discord and on this stuff, because I want people to be able to be comfortable moving through their forms. And I would say between the two, Peacebringer and Warshade, Peacebringer is probably the way to go with that. I'll talk about Warshade more in another video as well, but you can't get your squishies up, you can't get the things around you that you need, the damage boost. I don't think it's worth it. You could go Peacebringer. When you PvP on a Peacebringer, I would think that you would do Triform. Why not? Because you're always going to want to Triform anyways, but that's something that we'll talk about in another video. I have a really good build for that. So no to Warshade, yes to Peacebringer. Sentinels are strong in PvP as well. The top primaries that I've seen are Beam Rifle, Dark, Ice, and I think that's it. Maybe Psychic. But they are very prevalent in PvP, so you might see a few alterations on that if people are messing around with different things. But they are very strong, because you're getting those range blasts, which is really all you have time to get off in PvP anyways. You're getting the inherit abilities that they have. If you're taking the tier 2 ability, I believe that's the best one to get in or you would always take the tier 2 ability for PvP on a what are these guys called? Sentinel. Anyways, and then the top armors that you want, this is the important part, is probably bio armor, because you're going to get the adaptation that's going to give you the damage bonus, and you're just going to keep that on the whole time once you get all set it out and good. No dark armor, maybe electric armor, I don't think so, no. Invulnerability I heard good things about as well, because you are really hard to kill, and on a Sentinel that's actually a pretty good thing. Radiation armor I've also heard really good things about, and then radiation armor, I don't want to skip over that too briefly, but it's something that you could take if you wanted to PvP. You get a lot of little damage things going on, and on a Sentinel, I think it's a better choice than a lot of the other archetypes. Regeneration is always a good choice if you want to go old school, show off your costume a bit, but I'm not sure that with all the other abilities that you could pick that you would want to go for regeneration and not for either of these two on a Sentinel. Going down to Brute. Now, Brutes in PvP are interesting because they need to ramp up their damage. However, I do see people picking Brutes over tanks and scrappers a lot of the time. And I think it's because they want to be able to PvE and be able to PvP, but it's very similar. You have to go Super Strength. It's just the biggest pick. Super Strength, you could do War Mace if you wanted to be that big heavy hitter. Everything else, though, I'm going to say probably not. No. Dark Melee, people are going to say Dark Melee. You could, I guess, but there's no reason to for over any of the others. Oops. And then back to the secondary powers. Bio armor is good. If you can do regeneration on a brute, that's really good. Regeneration on a tank or regeneration on a brute. Shield defense, probably not for PvP on a brute. You're going to want something that's going to help just heal you and keep you alive. Energy aura is probably pretty good. I've seen invulnerabilities doing well. Maybe fire if you can get to your caps anyways and you just want to heal from fire and burn to lock people down and then burn them up. That might be pretty good on a brute. Stalker, which everybody's probably been waiting for, is in a pretty good place. Now we're only going to hit on the best of these. So broadsword is okay. I would say it's maybe number 2 or number 3 because you're able to control the crit. That broadsword was not designed to crit as often as a stalker is able to make it occur. You are insanely strong. Now it's not the best. There are others that do it stronger. So but if you wanted to try this on a stalker, you definitely could. To go with a broadsword, I would recommend, and for anything really, regeneration is okay, but the best right now is energy aura. Possibly bio armor. I've seen some people try to go electric armor, but right now I would say between bio armor, electric armor, and maybe ninjutsu if you really wanted to, and then regeneration's up there as well. Probably regen above ninjutsu. Anything would work if you slotted it up enough and you just knew when you wanted to heal. And some people don't even take overload when they do energy aura, but there's a lot of builds for energy aura that you could take from. So with that, you could do broadsword. You could do psionic melee is the top right now for stalkers because you go for side blade, and then you get your concentration assassin's blade, and then your greater side blade. And when you use your greater side blade, you can basically one-shot anybody who's around you. You can take out defenders and squishies in basically one go if you get your build ups and your concentration all maxed macro together, and then also energy aura is going to help you with that. That's really strong. You want to just spam and mess with people in zones? There you go. There's your build. Radiation melee, no. Street justice is really one of the only alternatives I see in the stalker's primary power set that you could do, but that's if you wanted to sustain on stalker a little bit more, and psionic's just going to be a way better choice for you to want to go. Going down to Mastermind. Now Masterminds are fun, but you really only have 2 or 3 choices. Well, maybe 4. I guess we'll start with the most ridiculous one. Beast Mastery Kinetics. You could do Beast Mastery Kinetics to speed them up, to get them over. I've seen some people posting videos and stuff, and it looks like a lot of fun. But I think that there's better alternatives. However, that's something that you could do. Demons are nice because their damage is a multitude of different types of damage that they're dealing. So they're good in PvP because they can get through to a lot of different people. But what you want to mess with or pair with them is probably going to be Dark for PvP, because then you can play a bit more offensively and mess around with them. Your options for PvP secondaries for Mastermind are really just Dark and then Poison. Storm, no, that's better on like a controller or something like that. Maybe Trick Arrow and traps would be good as well. Oh, and time. Oh yeah. So we'll start from the bottom. Trick arrow is nice. You don't get a heal for your minions, which kind of sucks. So I would say maybe put it on a controller, like a gravity controller or something like that. Traps is nice because you can set up your stuff and then teleport them onto it if you take teleport foe, which is a classic Mastermind move, and you can really do some damage regardless of your primary. Time manipulation is really nice as well because you get chrono shift and farsight, which is actually going to max out your pets in most cases. Even ninjas get maxed out in their defense resistance with farsight and chrono shift when you're got them all macroed, and you click your button and it summons your pets at your feet and it auto casts your buff and you're ready to go and you face them off and you're ready in like 3 seconds. It's really, really good to do that. So time's really good. These three at the bottom, and then poison and then dark are basically your secondary choices. You could do force field, but only if you're doing robots, and I'll tell you why. Mercenaries, no. Necromancy you could do if you took poison or dark. Dark is always good as a secondary, but if you took poison, you'll notice that you don't have a self heal. You have a single heal other, but you don't have a self heal. Now what you get with necromancy is life drain, which is going to allow you to take life from others, and that's going to make up for that deficit that poison doesn't have. That's a good build. Necromancy poison or necromancy dark. Ninjas. Now it's funny because ninjas have the highest potential of single target damage of any of the pets. The problem is they always die. So if you pair ninjas with anything, they're gonna die. Try time if you really want to. I want to see somebody do that. It'd be pretty cool. And then you also get the bows that you to mess with. And I've seen a lot of ninja builds that do use the bows as I was looking through them, and I was like, wow, why are they using the bows for that? So I guess you get to look at that skin, and that would be pretty neat. The bows that I saw was like fistful of arrows. I don't think that you would actually take that. Maybe aim shot. Now smoke flash is cool, and we should talk about this for each of the masterminds in just a minute. But if you were to take ninjas, you get smoke flash, which is going to let you use burnout, which is going to let you double up on an ability, in addition to a secondary, like, not time manipulation, you don't need it for that, but like storm, you could double up on any of these powers, tornado, lightning storm. But you could double up on smoke flash, turn with the macro, turn 2 of your lieutenants invisible at once. They're both critting like crazy. I think it would be pretty good if you could get them to do that. And then what if you could also macro, like with time, that you had the temporal selection to also give them damage bonus, and then also they're critting. I think that would be awesome for ninjas. The demon summoning, you could use burnout and get double hell on earth. That would be pretty good. Necromancy, there is a way that you could bind and macro and get to like slash release pet or whatever kills off your pet, and then get double soul extraction. So you actually have, and you do that with a lich, and then you're able to get a lich and 2 soul extracted ghosts. It's kind of hard to set up in PvP. I don't think it'd be really worth it, but the ninja one sounds fun, doesn't it? I haven't seen anyone try that, but that would be a cool one. Now robotics is good with dark, robotics is good with time, robotics is good with traps, especially good with traps. Robotics is good with force field, and those are the ones I would pick if you really wanted to do robots. Any of those would work in PvP. If you have the force field, I think it's kind of boring. It's kind of like the one that everybody always picked back in the day. But dark is supposed to be really good. Cold is better for PvE than PvP with bots, I would say. But it's up to you there. Now thugs, and I would say the top ones here are thugs is probably the top, demons, then robots, and mystery ninjas, because who knows, and then maybe beasts if it works out well for you. Call thugs is nice because you can double up on gang war. With robotics, you don't get to double up on anything, it's just repair. But with robotics, they're doing this nice range damage and this knockback, which when you compare it with a force bubble means they can't get to you. And your assault bot has this giant thing that it does damage with these rockets, and that's really good for single target in PvP. For thugs, you have good buffs from your call enforcers. Your bruiser does pretty well for you. Your arsonist is kind of stupid, it's like hurting cats. Your gang war is nice because you can double up on it, but I think you go over the aggro cap if there's one person and you're using double gang war to get 20 pets on them at once, so you kind of space it out a little bit, but you also have a lot of survivability. Now, a good secondary for thugs is to go poison, because you're getting Envenom, Weaken, maybe Paralytic Trap, probably not even Noxious Gas, I wouldn't say. Well, nah, you're not going to get a chance to use it too much. Or Dark, Thugs Dark would be pretty good. I'm curious to try Thugs Kinetic, not in PvP, but Thugs Kinetics to get the Fulcrum Shift on the Posse, but not in PvP. But definitely go for Thugs. Throw a lot of procs into your Gang War, every proc that you can. Put defense buff, IOs straight into your Enforcers, 2 of them, get them up there, and you're going to be golden. Going down to Dominator, there's only a couple of builds that you can use for Dominator. Darkness Control, which is still banned, but is a good choice. And then you can go for Mind Control, and that's really your only 2 options. You could do Gravity, but a controller does Gravity better, so you shouldn't do it. Again, if you go Mind Control, you can't use Telekinesis. If you use Darkness, you can't use Darkness Grasp. They're both good, but you would really only be able to use them in zones. Now, some people say that Dominators in zones are good. Some people say that Dominators in zones are bad. It's both. It's more so the player and kind of the situation that you find yourself in. But a common secondary that I see is Psionic Assault, because not everybody has the highest resistance to that. And I think that's really the only one. I guess Dark Assault. Dominators are in such a weird place. Psionic, really, Mind Psi is the only option to go. Maybe Dark Psi, Mind Psi. I wouldn't recommend it right now, but I think they are making some changes to how Dominators and even specifically how Mind and Telekinesis work. So hopefully they'll be a little bit better. And I think that we're getting some pretty cool updates for them in terms of their ability as well for Dominators. Moving on to Corruptors. Now, we do see these from time to time in PvP, and similar to the Blasters, we can take those same power sets that we talked about there and say they would work for a Corruptor. And what secondary should we go? Now, back in the day, we would say Radiation Emission was the way to go, because you could throw it on them. It was one of the best debuffs that we have, but it's not the best debuff that we have anymore. Poison is. But if you're going for a Blast and then a secondary support and then it's poison, you're not going to be debuffing them as much as a defender would. And is Scourge worth more than what a defender is getting through having the higher debuffs? And what people have been saying is no. If you're either going to go Blaster or you're going to go Defender, and if you're going Corruptor, you're doing something a little bit different. Maybe you're going Trick Arrow. You could still go Time, I suppose, but same thing. Why wouldn't you just go Defender? Scourge isn't going to make that much of a difference, and you're going to be getting more benefit. I would say if you wanted to go Corruptor, go Dark, because it's always a good secondary. And that's about it. That's really the only one that doesn't, and maybe Trick Arrow. Other than that, you should be going something else. Now, Arachnos Widow and Arachnos Soldier. Arachnos Soldier, I would say I've seen people trying to make them work, and I admire them for trying to get it to be something workable with the crabs, with the huntsmans, and all that. I'm not sure that it's in a place where it could work right now, but the Fortunatas are. Specifically, because there's a lot of stalkers in the zones right now, you get the ability to get plus perception. I can't really see them from here, but you get the ability for plus perception. You get the ability, there you go, to help your team out more. These are really popular for zones. These are really popular for teams. You will get invited for that, and it's the same builds you would use for PvE anyway, so you can be kind of viable in both. I wouldn't take Spin if you're going into PvP, but your powers would change anyways when you get to that certain level. So, but Arachnos Soldier, I don't think it's ready to be where it should be yet. So, thank you guys for watching. My name is SPJimmy, and I wanted to just remind you guys really quick about the costume contest we have coming up. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you would please just submit a screenshot to there, and I will let you guys know when that's all going to be. And let me know if you need more specifics on any builds or a specific primary or secondary set. I put out some other videos, so check those out as well. Leave me a subscription and hit that notification to be kept up to date.